Well, Bigler Stouffer has been on death row since a jury convicted him of first-degree murder 36 years ago. Now, the big question in the city of Tulsa today is to mask or to not mask. You can see that if you grab some of it, it's even actually stuck to the ground here. This is just pellets. This is not that fun white snow. The airport operations seem to be running as normal here after Tulsa police say that a man opened fire on his wife and her brother. Tara says that the bold trespasser went from the street up her driveway. He passed her first camera right here. And then he continued to walk through the yard and started pulling on door handles. Check out one of the biggest rock festivals here in Oklahoma. With more than 1,000 students and teachers in quarantine due to close contact tracing, more than 100 positive cases within the district, and 60 teachers who haven't shown up to their classrooms, the district says that it has no choice but to cancel classes in at least 8 schools until further notice. That both of those men that were trapped 80 feet below the surface there, they were both found dead. Catholic Charities of Oklahoma says it could be another month before those Afghan refugees arrive here in Oklahoma. After 140 miles of swimming, biking, and running.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Sue Richardson crossed the Ironman finish line at 4 o'clock this morning.
Sue Richardson, you are an Ironman! Let's go!
I am exhausted. I'm hungry. I've been up since 1 o'clock this morning.
It took her about 22 hours to finish.
I was bound and determined.
And the only people left here to cheer her across the line were her friends, the cleanup crews, and us here at News on 6.
But I still had the great experience, and isn't that what life is all about? Life is not about getting the medal, it's about the experience. And
she says this race is what kept her going through the past year.
COVID hit, and I'm a nurse, and so we were inundated and just under so much stress. And Ironman gives you so much. It's just not the race. It's a lifestyle. It gets you up. It gets you motivated. It gets you excited.
She turned that motivation, stress, and excitement into a story of perseverance.
You know, a lot of people got so incredibly sick from COVID, and I needed something to work for.
Richardson has been doing triathlon since 1995, but says for her, Ironman isn't about winning, but about knowing that she can push herself to that next level.
When I'm 80 years old on my rocker, when I look back through life, I don't want any regrets.
Well, normally the corner of 13th and Boston is a quiet one on a Sunday evening, but tonight dozens of people showed up holding blue and yellow signs and flags with a message for Ukraine. Even though Tulsa is 5,640 miles away from Ukraine.
We just want to wrap our Ukrainian friends with that love that Oklahomans are so good at showing.
Dozens of Oklahomans showed up today with signs, flags, shirts, and most of all, a message.
I would say, Sheni Fmerla Ukraini, which, as we know from the national anthem, means Ukraine is not yet dead.
Benjamin Peters is one of many people here in Tulsa who have lived in Ukraine and still have many friends and family in the country.
So, Bryansk, my mother's hometown, ended up getting surrendered to the Russians today.
In fact, one of my cousins is in the Ukrainian army, and he is fighting right now north of Kiev, and he's in the Ukrainian armed forces that are defending the city. So it's personal.
I don't want to go to a funeral or memorial service for one of my friends that's in their 30s because they were caught up in this conflict.
Tonight, this group holding candles and rallying together with tears in their eyes. We're not Americans, Ukrainians, or Russians. They're a united community with a prayer that the world can one day become one.
May your wisdom, grace, and favor lead us all toward peace. God of peace.
And they say they're just getting started. There's also going to be another show of support next Saturday, March 5th at John Hope Reconciliation Park, and that will be from 2 to 4 p.m. Bill Jacobs has been growing Christmas trees at the Owasso Tree and Berry Farm for 40 years. He says that his job really is about providing Christmas spirit for the community.
You know, people want to go back to things that make them comfortable, and the family and the home and the fireplace and all that. The real Christmas tree is just part of that experience.
Every year, Jacobs has thousands of Christmas trees for sale, many of which are grown right here in Owasso, but others are hauled in from across the country.
We are limited as to what we can grow in Oklahoma. So all the short needle fir trees come from North Carolina, Oregon, or Washington.
But Jacobs tells us over the past few years, trees have been much harder to get.
It's going to keep getting worse. Last summer they had 114 degrees in Oregon, and then they had a drought. The thing that concerns me is that our freight went up this year 40% from last year.
He says right now finding a tree over 10 feet tall is almost impossible, and within the next couple of years it may be hard finding any trees at all.
The word is out, it may never eliminate the shortage. The gentleman we buy from lost about 80% of the trees he planted this spring. So now he's got to go back and replant those plus what he sells this year, so he's another year behind.
Jacobs tells me that many farmers have gotten out of the business.
What's happened, farmers are planting other crops. They're planting hops and they're planting grapes and hazelnuts, things like that, and not planting Christmas trees like they used to.
But as for him and his family, well, he says that they won't be going anywhere anytime soon because they love providing the Christmas cheer for people far and near.